One of the very basic questions you can ask a macroeconomist or any economist is, why does the economy fluctuate as much as it does? Or even also, why does the stock market fluctuate as much as it does? And the embarrassing truth is we don't really know. My name is Xavier Gabaix. I'm an economist at Harvard University. I work on macroeconomics, finance, and behavioral economics. Sometimes people postulate what you see in a textbook, an aggregate productivity shock, but you don't really know what it is. So something that I've been thinking a lot about, maybe it's firm-level shocks that matter. So Nokia has a really good invention, makes a really good invention, a nice cell phone 10 years ago, and that's really great for Finland. And then Nokia kind of lost it a little bit, and now Finland is in recession. And likewise, a big part of a sizable part of the productivity gains in the US, it's innovations by Walmart, or productivity gains with Microsoft, or even things like FedEx or the US Postal Service. All those firm-level based efficiency gains, and sometimes losses, because if they create a bad product or there's a strike. It turns out that in the history of the 70s and 60s, that was a big deal, like GM strikes, that could actually create a recession. They're not a major part of fluctuations, but there may be 30% of the fluctuations. But it's 30% that you can really put your fingers on. You see more or less exactly what was going on, a great decision to expand or a misguided decision to expand, and it was wasted capital. That's like a negative productivity shock. So the hope is that by looking at those firm-level behavior or industry-level behavior and how they're linked, we can more directly put our hands on an important source of macroeconomic shocks, and then trace how the whole macroeconomy responds to those things. Economists have been acknowledging that rationality is bounded since, I don't know, 19th century. So I'm part of a wave of people to say, okay, all those things are extremely interesting, and let's build on them. But let's be a little more systematic. So we really pay attention to the psychology, but we try to write models in a way that it is as general as what you teach in those basic textbooks, so that it can be on an equal footing, not just a list of quirky things, but something that has enough the same level of breadth and generality. One difficulty with those models is actually linked to the bounded rationality. So, and often you have like one agent and one representative consumer and one representative firm, and you have a very abstract, stylized model that's fairly manageable. Once you have lots of different types of people, lots of different types of firms, and they may be linked in a complicated network, it becomes much harder to solve a full rational problem, which is how would you do the best you can if you're a consumer of a firm, given all the information you have. That becomes very intractable. So I think there will be actually progress in very substantial new progress in network kind of economics once there is progress in behavioral economics, i.e. when we have reasonably reliable tools to handle how people take decisions in complicated environments. There are lots of policy proposals looking at the income distribution. The big difficulty, well, as I view it, it's not that some people are extremely wealthy, it's that some people are very, very poor. First, it's interesting to understand what determines these big changes in inequality at the top. But I think the most policy actions will be more at the bottom, actually. There's a good amount of presumption for that. A big part of the inequality at the top of the income distribution, it's really the market for talent. Now, so sometimes talent, you may say, that's too favorable a term, but high-skilled people. So the top lawyer, the top CEO, the top hedge fund managers, they have some ability. Now, you could say those are not socially useful activities like managing billions of dollars, but certainly it's privately useful, and they're rewarded for that. The market for top talent works pretty well. So I don't think there's a huge amount of problem for top inequality. It's more bottom inequality that worries me.